What if the most critical moment in Stephen Curry's shot isn't when the ball leaves his hands, but in the silent split second before he even catches it? We obsess over his form, the arc, the release, but we're looking at the shadow, not the object casting it. The real magic, the mechanism that makes him lethal under suffocating pressure, is forged in the invisible arena of the mind. And what if I told you that for this man, the greatest shooter of all time, the deafening roar of 20,000 screaming fans during a game-winning shot can sound like complete and utter silence? We're not just talking about muscle memory or a quick release. We are about to deconstruct the 6 core psychological and physiological systems Curry uses to conquer pressure. A complete operating system for clutch performance. We'll explore how he manipulates his own senses, re-engineers his practice, and leverages mental frameworks so powerful, they will fundamentally change how you view competition itself. Before we dive in, think about the last time you felt intense pressure, a critical presentation, a tough exam, a crucial conversation. What was the one physical sensation you remember most? A racing heart? Sweaty palms? Hold that thought. We're about to reframe that feeling entirely. Is the roar of 20,000 screaming fans a crippling distraction or a symphony of pure energy? For most athletes, this sensory overload is a physical force, a wall of sound pressing in that triggers a fight or flight response. It floods the body with cortisol, tightens muscles, and shortens breath, all enemies of a fluid jump shot. But for Stephen Curry, this moment is where a strange calm descends. He has mastered the art of cognitive reframing, the mental alchemy of turning perceived threats into perceived fuel. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a strategic rewiring of his brain's threat response. He engages in what sports psychologists call auditory filtering, a trained mental process where the brain actively downgrades the priority of external noise, shifting all cognitive resources to the immediate task. It's not about ignoring the sound, it's about reclassifying it as irrelevant data. The crowd's roar becomes background static. This mental flip from threat to challenge prevents the amygdala hijack, that primitive fight-or-flight response that clouds judgment and makes fine motor skills nearly impossible. He reinterprets the weight of a championship moment not as pressure to fail, but as the ultimate privilege he has worked his entire life to earn. Instead of being a victim of the moment, he becomes its conductor. Imagine 2 people looking at a charging lion. One sees a predator and is paralyzed by fear. The other, a trained zoologist, sees a magnificent creature and is electrified by the chance to observe it. Same lion, different lens. This is the world Curry has built. The defender's hand in his face isn't an obstacle. It's a puzzle to be solved. The final seconds ticking down aren't a deadline for failure. They're a dramatic stage for victory. He doesn't fight the pressure. He dances with it. The actionable takeaway: become an active narrator of your own stress. When your heart starts pounding, don't think, "I'm nervous." Instead, relabel it with a reframe mantra. My body is getting ready for peak performance. This simple shift in language can transform your entire physiological response. Picture this: you're trying to walk across a narrow wooden beam suspended 100 feet in the air. If you spend the entire time looking down, fixated on the terrifying drop, your body will tense, your balance will fail, and the outcome you fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you fix your gaze on the anchor point at the other end and focus solely on taking one perfect step at a time, your chances of success skyrocket. This is the core of Curry's second art, a relentless obsession with process over outcome. While everyone else is praying the ball goes in, Curry's mind is locked on a microscopic checklist: feet set, hips aligned, elbow in, wrist flick, perfect rotation. His process is his sanctuary from the future. But how does he maintain that focus? He uses his pre-shot ritual, the quick dribbles, the ball tap, the deep breath, not just to warm up, but as a cognitive anchor designed to hijack the conscious brain. Under pressure, the conscious mind, specifically the prefrontal cortex, loves to interfere. It starts asking questions. What if I miss? Are my feet right? Is the defender too close? Curry's ritual is a sequence of familiar actions that tells his overthinking brain to shut up and let the highly trained subconscious take over. The shot has already been programmed through 1 million practice reps. The ritual is simply the command prompt that runs the program. Picture a bomb disposal expert. Before they cut a single wire, they lay out their tools in a precise, unvarying order. This isn't for tidiness. It's to build a bridge of control and certainty in an environment of chaos. Curry's routine functions in the exact same way. This powerful focus debunks the ice in his veins myth. He isn't emotionless. He is simply too occupied by his process to be derailed by emotion. This is what separates a good ritual from a mere superstition. Intentionality. A superstition is rooted in luck, wearing the same socks for every game. A performance ritual is rooted in process. It directly triggers a desired mental and physical state. It's a mechanism for reliable replication under duress. The actionable takeaway: deconstruct your own high-pressure tasks into a microscopic checklist of non-negotiable steps. Then create a launch sequence, a simple, repeatable routine to perform right before you begin. It can be as simple as organizing your desk a certain way before a big call. The ritual signals it's time to lock into the process and ignore the noise. What if I told you that one of the secrets to elite performance is developing a terrible memory, specifically for your own failures? Stephen Curry is the master of what we can call strategic amnesia. He possesses a highly trained ability to treat every single shot as if it's the first and only shot he will ever take. When he misses, even an air ball on a critical possession, his mind is conditioned to have functional amnesia. The emotional sting, the mechanical error, the memory of the missed opportunity, it's wiped clean in seconds. This prevents the deadliest opponent an athlete can face: hesitation. The moment you start thinking about the last miss, your mechanics slow down, your release point changes, and you create a self-fulfilling prophecy where one mistake breeds another. This mindset is more than just forgetting. It's a form of amnesic optimism. A story is told about golfer Jack Nicklaus. After hitting a terrible shot into the trees, his caddy was fuming, but Nicklaus was perfectly calm. He said, "Did you know there's a 1 in a million chance that if I hit this next shot perfectly, it could bounce off that oak tree and land on the green?" This is a borderline delusional, but incredibly effective. Focus on the possibility of success while completely disregarding the probability of failure based on the last outcome. Imagine your confidence is a bucket of water. For most people, every mistake pokes a small hole and the water slowly drains out. Curry's approach isn't to have an unbreakable bucket. It's to stand under a perpetual waterfall. His belief in his thousands of hours of training is the waterfall, constantly refilling the bucket faster than any single miss can drain it. His confidence isn't a finite resource. It's constantly being replenished by a core belief in his preparation. The actionable takeaway: develop a personal flush mechanism or reset trigger. It can be a physical action, like snapping your fingers or clapping your hands once, or a mental phrase like next play. Use it immediately after a setback to sever the emotional cord to that failure and bring your focus immediately back to the present moment. Most people practice a skill until they get it right. Champions, however, practice until they literally cannot get it wrong, even when the entire world is engineered to make them fail. This is the fourth art: simulated chaos. Curry's training sessions are legendary for their absurd levels of difficulty and sensory overload. His trainer will have him catching tennis balls while dribbling, wearing goggles that create flashing strobe effects to impair his vision, and shooting while being pulled by resistance bands. He makes practice infinitely harder than the game. The purpose is a process called stress inoculation. He systematically exposes his nervous system to such high levels of duress in a controlled environment that when the chaos of a real game hits, his brain thinks, "Oh, this? I've been here before. This is easy." The deeper goal is to make the act of taking a game winner neurologically mundane. He practices clutch shots so often and under such intense simulated pressure that his brain can't distinguish between a Tuesday morning drill and Game 7 of the NBA Finals because the physical sequence is identical. He has intentionally exhausted his brain's ability to see the moment as special. Here's the critical distinction: most people practice for success. Elite performers like Curry practice for failure. His most intense drills are designed to push him to his absolute limit, to the point where he will miss. This is crucial. By practicing at the edge of his ability, he becomes intimately familiar with the feeling of failure and, more importantly, the process of immediately recovering from it. He trains his mind to see a miss not as a catastrophe, but as simple feedback within a continuous loop of execution. The actionable takeaway: normalize the chaos in your own life. Don't just rehearse your presentation. Do it with the TV on or with a friend actively trying to distract you. Don't just study for the test. Do it with a timer that gives you 20% less time than you'll actually have. Build deliberate failure points into your training to master the art of the immediate bounce back. Stop thinking about a game-winning shot as a single, isolated event. For Stephen Curry, every shot is part of a larger psychological war he wages on the defense for all 48 minutes. The pressure on his final shot is often less because of the work he did in the first 47 minutes. This is the concept of psychological gravity. His reputation as a shooter is so immense that the mere threat of him taking a shot warps the entire defense. Defenders guard him tighter, stay closer, and expend more mental and physical energy tracking him than anyone else on the court. This constant, draining pressure he applies to them creates small advantages for his team. A slightly late rotation, a teammate left open, a defender too exhausted to contest effectively in the final seconds. He weaponizes his own reputation. Think of a master chess player. They don't just think about their next move, they are thinking about how their next move will restrict the opponent's options 10 moves from now. A deep three-pointer Curry takes in the first quarter isn't just for 3 points, it's an investment. It forces his defender to guard him 30 feet from the basket for the rest of the game. This stretches the defense thin, creating driving lanes and open looks for his teammates. By the fourth quarter, the defense is mentally and physically fatigued from his constant gravitational pull. How does this gravity actually reduce the pressure he feels? It shifts the burden of perfection. Because his presence alone creates so many opportunities for his teammates, he doesn't carry the weight of needing to be the hero on every single play. This creates a positive feedback loop. The more he scores, the more gravity he has. The more gravity he has, the easier it is for his team to score, which reduces the pressure on him to be the sole producer. The actionable takeaway: look for force multipliers in your work. What one action can you take early in a project that will make 10 future actions easier? Build your leverage and credibility early on, so the final ask or deadline feels like a natural conclusion, not a high-pressure confrontation. Think back to when you first fell in love with a game, a hobby, or a subject as a kid. Before the stakes, before the judgment, before the fear of failure, there was only play. This brings us to the sixth and most transcendent art in Curry's toolkit: joyful competition. After all the mental reframing, process obsession, and physiological control, his ultimate pressure valve is shockingly simple. He never forgets that he is playing a game. The shoulder shimmies after a made three, the smile as he runs back on defense, the audacious half-court heaves in warm-ups. These aren't displays of arrogance. They are genuine expressions of joy. Joy is the ultimate antidote to fear. In a world of hyper-serious stoic competitors, Curry's greatest rebellion and his greatest weapon is the fun he has while dominating. When you are operating from a place of genuine enjoyment, the stakes feel lower, your body is looser, and your mind is free to be creative and instinctive. Fear creates tension. Joy creates fluidity. It's a fascinating dual insight that the more seriously you take your preparation, the more freely you can play in the performance. His legendary work ethic is what buys him the freedom to be joyful in the game. Hard work fuels true play. This approach allows for longevity and resilience. A career driven by fear and anxiety leads to burnout. A career driven by joy and passion is sustainable. Curry's ability to continue performing at the highest level well into his 30s is a testament to this. The pressure hasn't ground him down because his primary fuel source is renewable. The actionable takeaway: deliberately reconnect with your why before a high-pressure moment. Take 10 seconds to remember why you started, what you love about the craft, and the simple pleasure of the challenge itself. Connect to the love before you connect to the labor. Let joy be your ultimate weapon. It is the one force that fear cannot conquer. So, there it is. The art of shooting under pressure is so much more than a perfect physical form. It's a complete 6-part operating system for achieving excellence when the stakes are highest. It's about reframing the noise of the world into fuel. It's anchored by an unbreakable focus on process over outcome. It's protected by the strategic amnesia required to make every opportunity a clean slate. It's forged in the fire of simulated chaos. It's amplified by a deep understanding of psychological gravity to wage a 48-minute war. And it is all fueled by the most most powerful performance enhancer of all, the art of joyful competition. The next time you see Stephen Curry pull up for a game winner, you'll see not just a shooter, but a master of the mind. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not professional advice. Consult a qualified expert as needed.